in an industry the probability of an accident occurring in given month is 1 by 100. So for accident occurred in a given month, so let's denote a event for occurring the accident. Okay, a for occurring accident for a month, okay. So I am just defining the event. A is for occurring accident for a given month. Okay, so the probability of an accident, that is the probability of this event P of A, is 1 by 100. Now another point is P of n is being defined here. P of n denote the probability that there will be no accident over n month. So this is for 1 month, this is for 1 month, this is for occurring accident. Here it is no accident, this for not to be occurred. Okay, so this is for 1 month and it is for n month. So P of n is basically a bar for n month. What is a bar? A is occurring accident for a given month, and it is saying clearly in the question Pn denotes there will be no accident, means not occurring. So not means a bar. Okay, so if P of A is 1 minus P of A bar, you know it very well. Okay, so if P of A is the probability for occurring an event, so P of A bar will be the probability of not occurring that event. Okay, A bar is not occurring. So if P of A is 1 by 100, so for 1 month it is A. So for n month for not occurring the event is P of n. So the expression is given. Okay, P of n is less than half. So first find out what is P of n. So here what will be P of n? So a bar for n month. So if it is A, P of A is 1 by 100. So what will be P of A bar? Means if the probability of occurring an event is 1 by 100, so probability of not occurring that event will be 1 minus P of A bar. So 1 minus 1 by 100, that is nothing but 99 by 100. Okay, now this is for 1 month. For 1 month we are saying here that the accident should not be occurred for month 1, that is 99. Okay, and means into another not occurring for another month, and for another month not occurring for another month. Okay, so up to when? How many months? N months. So up to n times. Okay, this is for P of A bar is 99 by 100 is for 1 month. So for n month, how can you calculate the probability? For first month the accident should not be occurred, and for second month it should not be occurred, and for third month it should not be occurred. Simultaneously for nth month it should not be occurred. Okay, this is the probability of n. What is probability of n? That is there will be no accident over n month. Okay, there will be no accident for n month. So the obviously P of n will be, and what is A bar? We have calculated for 1 month. P of A bar is 1 by 1 minus 100, that is 99 by 100. So it will be 99 by 100 to the power n. Okay, so we have find out this polynomial P of n is equal to 99 by 100 to the power n. Okay, so we have now come to the conclusion that P of n is nothing but 99 by 100 to the power n. Now what is the question? Find out the smallest integer value of n such that, so you have to find out n such that this is given. It means it is given P of n is less than equal to half. So for smallest value, the maximum limit will be half. So we can take it as equal to P of n. We have already found out the expression. So 99 by 100 to the power n is half. You can take log. So n log 99 by 100 will be log half. So you can find out the value of n, that will be 69. Okay, and it is the answer. So the main trick here is finding out this p of n. So I hope you understand my point. How am I deducing to this expression? Okay, so p of n is nothing but there will not be any accident over n month, right? So I'm expressing for the event of not occurring accident as a bar. I'm saying a bar means there will be no accident for 1 month. So a bar for 1 month. Again there will not be accident. Again there will not be accident. Again there will end. So for end we use into, and for or we use plus. PA bar is for 1 month. So we can go for up to n month. So basically we multiplied. We take here as a P of A. Okay. So we are multiplying the same quantity, that is 99 by 100 up to 100, how many times? N times. So basically to power n. So this is the way we finding out. Okay. After finding out P of n, we just put equal to half, and you can 99 by 100 equal to half. Okay, you can take log and you can find out the n. Next question is very interesting actually. You should know about the surface, you should know about the planes and the number of bonds which are on that plane, below that plane, and above that plane. Okay, suppose I have one plane. Okay, so what will be its surface energy is nothing but the bonds which are broken and those are present above this plane. Okay, the bonds, suppose this atom is bonded with another atom above this plane. This atom is bonded with another atom above this plane, and this atom is also bonded with another atom on this plane. And suppose this atom is bonded with another atom below this plane. So basically according to the concept of surface energy, only the bonds which are broken above this plane contributes to the surface energy of this plane. So the bonds which are being broken and which are at the plane and below that plane are not responsible for the surface energy. Only those bonds which are above the plane, okay, and which are being broken are responsible for the surface energy. So we have to find out that for a specific plane, okay, how many bonds are being broken. Okay, so let's go to the question. This is the concept, and why this breaking of bond contributing to the surface energy, we know. Let's take some example of liquid. Suppose there is surface tension at the surface, that is called surface tension T, that is force per unit length. Okay, why this from where this tension is coming? So suppose every atom is bonded with its nearest atoms. Okay, so let me clear it and draw one separate diagram. So inside, suppose these surface atoms are there. Okay, and some atoms are inside the material. So these atoms are bonded with their nearest neighboring atoms, right? Their nearest neighboring atoms, internal atoms are. Okay, so suppose one body is there. If it is being forced in this direction, and if it is being forced in this direction also, so both are equal and in opposite direction, so they are cancelling each other. Similarly, if it is pulled towards upward and if it is pulled towards downward, so both forces are equal, so the forces will be cancelled out. So there will be no net effect, or net force will be zero, right? Net force will be zero. This situation is valid for all the atoms inside the material. So what happened for the atoms which are on the surface? So see, this atom is bonded with the atom which is below that, and this is also bonded with the atom, and this is also bonded with the atom which is left inside. Okay, so what about this side there is no atom. Okay, if there is no atom, so this is pulling this way and this is pulling this way, so both are equal and opposite, so both are cancelling each other. But what about this one? This atom is pulled towards this way, okay, but there is no force towards upward. That's why these atoms are feeling tension. And this is for liquid, okay, and this is valid for all other materials also and metals also. So what happened? This breaking of bond is contributing to the surface energy. Okay, so we have to know the per meter square, because surface energy is calculated for meter per unit area. Okay, so surface area is per unit area. Okay, joule per meter square similarly. Okay, so unit of surface energy is joule per meter square. So per meter square, how many numbers of bonds are being broken if you break some material? Okay, if you break some material, and it means you are just breaking this material, means you are creating two surfaces. Okay, so this surface energy will be the number of bonds which are being broken and which are above the surface are contributing the surface energy. But since two surfaces are being created, so this surface energy will be divided into half. So I'm just telling everything without any context. So let's see the question and understand the context. Okay, so for a FCC metal, the ratio of surface energy of 1 surface or 1 plane to 100 surface is, so it is asking the ratio. So you should know what is the surface energy for any plane. So for surface energy of any plane will be, so for surface energy of any plane, so what will be, since we know the bonds which are being broken are contributing to the surface energy, so what is the bond energy per atom? So basically bond energy per mole is standard, and we know. Okay, so that is U is bond energy per mole. That is standard and it is given, and you can find it in any textbook. Okay, and it should be given. So bond energy per mole is U. So what will be the bond energy? Bond energy per mole is U naught, and you know it is given. Okay, bond energy for any metal can be found out in some standard textbook. So you have to find out bond energy per atom. So per mole, it means 1 mole, how many atoms are there? Na, that is a golden number. So Na atoms is equal to U joule. Okay, U naught joule. What is U naught? Joule per mole, right? So this is U naught, or bond energy is energy for 1 mole, and we need here energy for bond energy for 1 atom. So how can you calculate? So for Na atom it is U naught, so for 1 atom it will be U naught by Na. So this is bond energy for Na atom, that is Na atom is that is for 1 mole, that is U naught. So bond energy for 1 atom will be U naught by Na. So we have already found out the bond energy per atom, that is U naught by Na, and it is contributing. So there should be many bonds, okay, being broken. So how many bonds are being broken per for that particular plane? Okay, so it depends. Okay, we have to remember for that. So that is number of bonds being broken for that particular plane. Okay, for one bond per atom, the energy U naught by Na, and how many bonds are being broken? Nb, and this is for, we are calculating for unit area, per unit area. So how many atoms are there per unit area? That is planar density. Okay, so basically the formula for surface energy for any plane is S is equal to U naught by Na, U naught by Na into Nb into Pd. This is the formula you have to remember. So how can you calculate for NB? So it is standard. Okay, so you can go and you can see the, if you draw one plane, suppose I'm dictating this 100. Okay, so for FCC 100 plane will be x, you are cutting x as 1 and another 0 0 0, so parallel to this and parallel, so this one is 100 plane. If you don't know how to draw plane by using Miller index, please watch my videos. Okay, I'll upload videos on Miller index, how to draw planes, how to draw directions, and those are very important for solving PD. Okay, planar density. And just one in GATE examination, just on the topic of planar density, they have asked many questions in many years. Okay, so even calculating PD or planar density for a particular plane is very important. So we should know how to draw a plane if the index HKL is given, suppose 111 or 100. So I'll upload a separate video on it. Okay, so you can maybe the time when you are watching, I have already uploaded the videos, so you can check in the playlist. So this is 100 plane. So how many bonds are there above this plane if you are just breaking at 100 plane? So atoms are, for FCC, atoms are at the corner and at the face. Okay, so for another portion, this half, okay, this the atoms which are at this plane are not contributing to the surface energy. So above this plane there will be 4 atoms. It means 4 bonds are being broken. So better you should memorize. Okay, memorize the number of bonds according to the plane. So I am going to write the number of bonds which are being which are generally being broken for a certain plane. Okay, for FCC generally we have to calculate for FCC only. Okay, so this is plane, this is number of bonds which are being broken if you separate if you cut one material of FCC. Okay, for 111 plane, number of bonds being broken are 3. For 100 they are 4. For 110 they are 5. So remember this table, it's very important. Okay, and I'll give a link for understanding how we are calculating the number of bonds being broken for a particular plane. Okay, I will attach one link. I think it is I will upload another video on it. Okay, or you can just remember these values and you can go for the exam also. You don't need to understand how you don't need to understand how we are calculating these numbers. So we are calculating for 111 and 100, so we need these 3 and 4. Okay, so what is the formula for surface energy? It is U naught by Na. This is energy per atom. So how many atoms are there? So that is PD, number of atoms per meter square. So this is for one atom into total number of atoms, and what is the number of bonds being broken, that is Nb. And how many surfaces are being created? 2. So this whole energy will be divided by 2. Okay, so into half. So this is the formula. So I don't mug up it. Okay, I just memorize how we calculate the surface energy. Energy for one atom, that is U naught by Na, and for one bond, that is U naught by Na. One atom, one bond. So how many bonds are there? Nb. And how many atoms is there? Pd. How many surfaces are being created? 2. So it will be half. So surface energy is this one. Okay, so what we have to calculate first? Pd, and we know Nb, we know U naught. I think you don't need for U naught and Na, I think, because it is asking ratio. Okay, so let's solve it. So it is asking ratio of surface energy of 111 to 100. in this S11 to S100, it will be U0 by NA, NB for 11, PD for 11 into half, divided by U0 by NA, NB for 100, PD for 100 into half. Okay, into, oh sorry, so yes, into half. Okay, so here it's clear, this will be cancelled out, this half will be cancelled out, so the answer will be NB for 111 into PD for 111 divided by N for 100 into PD for 11. Okay, so what is PD for 111? PD for 0 0. So let's calculate the PD. Okay, so how to calculate the PD? Planar density. So planar density is nothing but number of atoms on that plane. So number of atoms on that plane by area of that plane. That's it. So for we are calculating for 111, right? So let's draw the diagram for FCC and see how many atoms are there at 111 plane. So I should go for whiteboard, I think. Let me zoom in. Okay, I don't need for whiteboard. Okay, so now for PD of, let me draw the FCC structure. Please follow and watch all the videos uploaded on crystallography. Okay, all about FCC, BCC, and all about planes, planar density, Miller-Dix, and after that you come here. Okay, so if you know already, so you then you can proceed from here. So 111 is nothing but one intercept at X, one intercept at Y, one intercept at Z. So this plane will be this one. Okay, so FCC atoms are at the corner and at the face. Okay, if you so I want just 111 plane, so I just state it, and here is the another diagram. So how many atoms are there? So for corner, this is equilateral triangle, right? So what will be the length of this triangle? That is A√2. Okay, for any square the diagonal will be A√2. So this one is diagonal, right? This one is diagonal. Which one, for which square? The square which is below, behind. Okay, so here since it is equilateral triangle, this angle will be 60 degree, because this side is A√2, this side is also A√2, and this side is also A√2. You can see here, na? This is also the face diagonal of square. This is square, and this is also the face diagonal of this is square. Okay, and this is also the face diagonal of this square. So all are face diagonal. Okay, so A√2, A√2, A√2. So this is 60 degree. To what will be the contribution of this circle? Always remember, on plane, if you are calculating for PD, you have to consider this as a circle, not a sphere, because we are taking a 2D, and a 2D form of sphere is circle. So what is the contribution of this part on this circle? So basically it is nothing but 60 by 360, that is 1/6 portion. So 1/6, and how many are there at the corner? 3. So totally it is half atom. And how many contributions are there at the edges? So it is half. It is half. Okay, so half into 3. Half into 3. It is 3 by 2. So 3 by 2 plus half, it is nothing but 2. Okay, so it is 2 atoms. There is 2 number of atoms at this plane 1 1 1. Okay, that's it. So PD will be number of atoms 2. And what is the area of this equilateral triangle? It is nothing but root 3 by 4 side square. What is side? A root 2 the whole square. Okay, so it will be root 3 by 4 a root 2 the whole square. So basically here also you can go for solution. Okay, so what you're going to get, it is nothing but 4 will be multiplied here, so 8 by 2 root 2 square 2 a square root 3. Yes, and this is for 1 1 1. Similarly for PD for 1 0 0, it's so simple. So how many atoms will be there at 1 0 0? 1 0 0 is nothing but faces of cube. Okay, so you can calculate the number of atoms on this plane. So contribution is 1 by 4. So there is 4 atoms, 4 into 1 by 4. So total number of atoms will be 1, and 1 is at the face center. So contribution is 1, not half, because I not half. Okay, because I have already told you have to take circle, not sphere. So here the whole circle is already on the plane. Okay, so it will be counted as 1, and it is 1 by 4, 1 by 4, 1 by 4. So 1 plus 1, it is 2. So the number of atoms here are 2. Okay, so for PD of 1 0 0, the number of atoms are 2 by what is the area of this plane? So A into A square. Okay, so basically PD of 1 1 is 8 by root 2 A square root 3, and PD of 1 0 0 is 2 by A square. Now we can go for the final answer. So NB11 is 3. We have already written down the chart. Okay, how many numbers of bond will be broken on 1 1 plane? 3 into PD of 1 1 1 is 8 by 2a square root 3 whole divided by number of bonds being broken on 1 0 0 is 4 into the PD is 2 by a square. Okay, so you can go here for the simpler solution and you will find the answer. I don't think I know you can do it. Okay, I don't need to solve it. Okay, so it will be let's solve it. I know it will be so 8 will be cancelled out by this 8, a square will be cancelled out by this a square, so it will be 3 by 2 root 3. Okay, so it will be root 3 by 2. So it is nothing but, I think I have solved I have already solved it. 0.866, 0.866. So it is nothing but 0.87, because it is asking for up to 2 decimal place. Okay, round up to 2 decimal place. So answer is 0.87. So this is the way. So what I've done here, nothing. I know the formula U naught by Na into number of bond into PD, and 2 surface are being created. That's it. I know the number of bond being broken for each plane. Basically, it is possible for FCC to solve easily. So 111 plane FCC, it is 3 NB. For 100 it is 4. For 110 it is 5. You have to remember these numbers, and that's it. We just calculated the PD of 111 by how? It is nothing but number of atoms on this plane divided by area of that plane. That's it. And I'll upload some separate video on how to draw the plane and how to find out the PD also, and I'll just find out the ratio. Okay, so you can go back and see again the solution also. So let me zoom it out. So let's see the next question. So it's very interesting question, and it's even I made mistake here. Actually, they have given the question in a format that you will just be confused. So let's see sincerely. Okay, read the question sincerely. Let's see. And you will not be confused from here now. Okay, pure silicon has band gap Eg. So Eg is given already. Eg is 1.1 electron volt. This Si or silicon is doped with 1 ppm. So doping concentration. So if you're doping, you are finding out for what? You are finding out for number of donor atoms. Okay, that is Nd. Okay, so doping is given in the extent of 1 ppm, 1 parts per million. Okay, we'll see. And silicon contains 5 into 10 power 28 atoms per meter cube. So number of silicon atom is given as 5 into 10 power 28 atoms. This is for per meter cube. Okay, now at temperature T is given as 300 Kelvin. The shift in Fermi energy upon doping with respect to intrinsic Fermi level of pure silicon. The shift in Fermi energy, so it is asking shift in Fermi energy for N-type, because we are doping here with phosphorus, and phosphorus is pentavalent. And if we do pentavalent to the semiconductors, it will be N-type. You know the concept. Okay, you can go for a semiconductor portion also to watch the video. Okay, for N-type, P-type, and the explanation about the Fermi level. Okay, so basically it is asking the shift in Fermi energy upon doping with respect to the intrinsic Fermi energy level. So Fermi energy for N-type minus Fermi energy for intrinsic type. Okay, shift means what is changing. Suppose it is previously 2 electron volt. So if final Fermi energy for N-type, if it will be 2.5, so how much will be shift? So final minus initial, right? So Fn minus Fi is asking this only. So we know the formula, and you can please watch my other video on Fermi level, and you will understand the concept. There's other very strong concept. Okay, you need it. Okay, because they can change the type of question, and they have already changed in previous year questions also. So you should go and watch. Fn minus I will upload. Okay, so if you're watching, maybe I might be uploaded there. Okay, so Fn minus EFI is equal to, the formula is KT, sorry, that is capital T, KT ln N by Ni. That's it. So what is Ni? That is intrinsic charge carrier concentration. And in GATE, I think professors were thinking that students might be not able to memorize this formula for intrinsic charge carrier. Okay, so they have given the expression also. You just have to remember this only. And there is another concept I am going to explain about it. Okay, and so Ni is, if you find out Ni, you have to find out this N, because you know T, you know Kb is given, I think. Yes, Kb is given. This is Kb, Boltzmann and constant. Okay, so you know Kb, you know T, you know Ni by solving from here. okay, but we don't know n. What is n? Number of electrons. So from where they will come? So they will come from the donor atoms. Then if there is two donor atoms inside the semiconductor, it means each donor atom will contribute one electron. See, a silicon is tetravalent, okay. So if phosphorus is pentavalent, so each phosphorus will be bonded with 4, because there is silicon has only 4 valency. So it will, each phosphorus will be bonded with 4 silicon. There will be one excess electron remaining inside the crystal electronic structure, okay. This one extra electron will create one donor electron. That this atom is donor and this electron is charge carrier. That is why it is called n type. So if there is one phosphorus inside the doped inside the semiconductor, so simultaneously there will be one electron created inside the semiconductor. So the number of phosphorus atom is nothing but the number of electrons. So n is nothing but number of free electrons which are coming from the donor atoms. Okay, so let's see how we can solve for the n. Okay, so what is n and how can we solve for n? For n, so it n is nothing but number of free electrons, right? What is number of free electrons? Means is nothing but number of phosphorus atoms. I have already shown the number of atoms, phosphorus atom. Each phosphorus atom will release one extra electron, because it has 5 electrons in outermost shell and the silicon has 4 electrons. So they bonded with 4 only, and one will be excess. That will be the free. Okay, that will be the free electron. So the number of free electron is not even number of phosphorus atoms. So, but number of phosphorus atoms in per unit volume. Okay, so because per unit volume n is nothing but number of free electrons per meter cube of per unit volume. It is nothing but number of phosphorus atoms per meter cube of per unit volume. So just we have to find out number of phosphorus atoms. We know the doping is 1 ppm, so we'll find out n also. Okay, let's see how we do it. So the video is getting larger and larger. I'll upload it in 2 parts. I think this will be in second part if you are watching it. So I need a space. So what is n? Once you find out n, and you can find out ni from the formula given in the question, you can find out the EF minus EFi. What is EFn? EFn is the Fermi level energy for the final semiconductor of n type, and EFi is the Fermi level energy of intrinsic semiconductor. And it is asking if after doping, what is the shift in Fermi energy. So it is nothing but, suppose in n type semiconductor Fermi energy is 2 electron volt. So previously in pure semiconductor, that is intrinsic, the Fermi energy was 1 electron volt. What is the shift? 2 minus 1, that is 1 electron volt. So basically EFn minus EFi we have to find out. Okay, so how to find out? So doping is 1 parts per million silicon atom. Okay, so 1 parts means 1 phosphorus atom, right? Means million means 10 to the power 6. Okay, ones, tens, hundreds, like that you can find out. For million it will be 60. So 10 to the power 6 atoms of silicon is equal to 1 phosphorus atom, right? And how many silicon atoms is there? So for 1 atom of silicon, it will be 1 by 10 to the power 6 phosphorus atom. It is unitary method, right? For one silicon atom, it is 1 by 10 to the power 6 phosphorus atoms. Okay, so how many number of silicon atoms are there? Number of silicon atoms, I think I should have been written. Okay, let's see. The number of silicon atoms are 5 into 10 to the power 28. 5 into 10 to the power 28 per meter cube. So number of silicon, yeah, I've written here, my god, not noticing. So per meter cube, how many number of silicon atoms are there? 5 into 10 power 28. Okay, so for 1 atom of silicon, number of phosphorus atom is this much. So for this much, this many number of silicon atom, how many phosphorus atom will be there? That is n. So for 1 atom it is this. So for 5 into 10 to power 28 silicon atoms per meter cube. So for 5 into 10 power 28 silicon atoms, it will be 1 by 10 power 6 into 5 into 10 power 28 phosphorus atom. So it is asking find out the shift of Fermi energy for 5 into 10 power 28 number of silicon atoms. So we our main target was to find out how many phosphorus will be there in 5 into 10 power 28 number of silicon atom. So in this way we can find out 1 parts per million means 1 phosphorus atom per 1 million silicon atom. It means 10 power 6 silicon atom is equal to 1 phosphorus atom. It means 1 silicon atom is equal to 1 by 10 power 6. It means 5 into 10 power 28 silicon atom means 1 by 10 power 6 into 5 into 10 power. So similarly you can find out 5 into 10 power 22 phosphorus atoms are there. So how many free electron will be there? So n will be 5 into 10 power 22. So we have already found out the number of phosphorus atom, that is n. Okay, and you can find out Ni from the given data, and by putting here you can find out the answer. Okay, so Ni you can find out here, you can find out Ni from here also, because everything is given now. See, pi you know, m is given here, kb is given here, h square, h is I think is given below, yes, h is given here, and T is 300 degrees Celsius is given here, Eg is given here 1.11 electron but is given above, Kb, T, everything you know. Okay, so you can find out Ni, and you have already found out the value of number of phosphorus atom, that is n is what is it, that is 5 into 10 power 28. Once you find out Ni, I think if you find out, you will get Ni as 1. Let me tell you the exact value. You will find out Ni is 1.487 into 10 power 16. Okay, and n is this one. By using the formula Fermi energy level shift EFn minus EFi is equal to KT. K is also Kb. Okay, ln n by Ni. By putting this value, you can find out the answer. The answer will be 0.38885 electron volt. Okay, so it is asking for the round up to 2 decimal places, so answer will be 0.39. That's it. Okay, so please solve this all part by part by seeing my video.